Suella Braverman using very, very direct, very, very strong language there. She's saying that all that's going on in this country is not normal, that enough is enough. She thanked the protesters and the locals many, many times for standing up with what she says moral clarity, courage. She says that it's right to stand up peacefully, respectfully for your nation, and that people should not be afraid to do so. That will have stirred up many emotions among many of you watching this. Some of you will have been probably giving her a standing ovation. Others will have been yelling and screaming at your screens. You'll have been shouting stuff like, she's not right with some of the facts that she's doing. You'll have been shouting stuff like, oh, Michelle, they're not illegal migrants, they are asylum seekers. And many of you might be sitting there thinking, actually, give Labour a break, because you might be thinking lots of this all occurred on the Conservative Party's watch. Join the conversation in all the usual ways, because I want to hear your thoughts. Aaron Bastani, yours.
I mean, it's extraordinary that Suella Braverman is doing this. You're right to highlight the fact she was, of course, Home Secretary until 10 minutes ago. She was the Home Secretary when this country saw almost 1 million people in terms of net migration, I believe, in 2023. She was the Home Secretary when the country completely failed to get on top of undocumented illegal migration. And now she's giving rallies on the streets of Waterlooville, a place which has seen much better days. And if you want a snapshot of the future of British politics, that's what it is. You know, we've had the liberal establishment in this country denigrate the left for doing rallies. Apparently they don't matter. Well, I suspect everybody's going to be doing rallies because people are getting more and more passionate about issues in their locality than ever before. I'll also say one more thing. There's a difficult dynamic here for Reform and for the Tories, because Reform have had a tremendous 12 months. Reform will be looking to win a constituency just like that, whether or not Suella Braverman is their candidate. But in local elections next May, and as she said, Havant Council is controlled by the Lib Dems and Labour, if in those local elections the right-wing vote is split between Reform and the Tories, and of course she is a Tory MP, I suspect she's going to revitalise to some extent the Tory vote in at least a few wards around Waterlooville as a result of this. That doesn't necessarily benefit Reform. It doesn't necessarily benefit those people on that demonstration. So it's an interesting dynamic, because the rise of Reform and making these issues more salient has been contingent on the demise of the Tory party. Having two parties which are loud and proud on this issue and are very, very visible doesn't necessarily help them electorally.
Do you agree with that summary there from Aaron Bastani? I want to hear from you. I've got to tell you, though, Yvette Cooper, I imagine that if she was sitting here now, she would be telling me, oh, Michelle, we've got it all sorted out. We're trying to clamp down. We've got our one-in, one-out policy, you name it. Let's remind ourselves of some of the things that she would be saying.
Well, the pilot has now begun, and the first migrants who arrived on small boat are now in detention. That is the first step to removing them to France, because no one should be making this journey in the first place, and that's why this is now starting the process to return people and to undermine this vile trade in people. We won't provide operational details at this point that criminal gangs can simply use and exploit. But no one should be in any doubt. Anyone who arrives from now on is eligible for immediate detention and return. And this pilot will now build, because we are determined that no one should be making this journey.
Annunziata, what do you think?
I think this is a change in politics, that people feel they have been so ignored, so betrayed. Suella picked up on the sense of betrayal and how people haven't been listened to. And there will be more direct democratic action. And the rallies that we're seeing across the country, the peaceful ones, and the local politicians becoming much more activist in their actions, I think is going to become the norm. And it's not just from those on the right who are potentially talking about illegal migration, but also from the Jeremy Corbyns on the left. I think we are going to see an upswell where people can feel that they're being listened to, that they can make a difference, that we all know we've got potentially till 2029 until we have another chance to change the government. And it really feels like this one is completely tone deaf. No one I know believes the one in, one out will make any difference whatsoever, not least because it isn't one in, one out, and even if it were, that still leaves you at exactly the same number you started on, that it's a gesture that will make no practical difference. Suella's policy was, of course, Rwanda, which Keir Starmer scrapped as soon as he came in. And now the Americans are using it to prevent illegal migration to their country. We need much tougher, stronger measures in order to get control of a situation that has spiralled out of anyone's understanding.
Lots and lots and lots of you are getting in touch. I memean, unsurprisingly, Leslie's saying, I'm watching Suella Braverman. Has she actually jumped ship? Is she still supporting the Conservatives or what? Because she says she feels like it's the Conservatives that encouraged all of this stuff and that actually it was the Conservatives that were responsible in no short order for all of this. Chris says, I think that was absolutely magnificent. You know, he says, I hope that we can see much more of this all around the country. Adrian says the Tories are finished and this is desperate stuff. JW says Suella was absolutely brilliant. David says Suella tried her best to push back against all of this stuff, but she was held up everywhere she went. One of the things that the Conservatives put out on social media today was some of the so-called benefits that these so-called asylum seekers get. Did you see it, everybody? It says, asylum seeker, here's your list of perks. Housing and food provided directly by the state, hotel accommodation, weekly allowance of £49.18, access to food banks, free cooking lessons, you get health certificates, HC2, university bursaries, discounted French or Spanish lessons, free sports classes, free swimming classes. I mean, I don't know about you, ladies and gents, but this is unbelievable. It goes on. Discounts on theatre shows, apparently free mobile phone on arrival, taxpayer-funded legal aid, free bus travel. I've got to say, this is a better life than I've got. I'm off. I'm getting on a small boat. I'm going to fix my life. Goodbye.